Hi everyone, welcome back. We are continuing with yesterday's discussion. So here is little recap, and around this only our today's conversation, revolve. Yesterday I showed you that what are the 8 sections of your GCP training. Like even I have shared with you all a PDF document from which you can refer each section in detail. So there are 8 sections. Out of that, we have covered yesterday is the historical and evolution history of ICGCP, why it came to picture. And main topic we covered yesterday is 13 principles, right? So I just realized that you might be not knowing the definition of ICGCP. So these are ethical and scientific standards. There are 4 parts when you do your research. One is the very first phase is your designing. Designing in a way is a planning. You plan it. There is a research concept. Try to gather a literature around it. You synthesize your idea. You try to plan it. Now, based on that plan, you conduct, you execute. Basically, designing is your idea, and then you are trying, when you are doing that experiment, you are conducting. Then, while doing experimentation or a research, there will be lot many readings, data to collect. Then recording is that data. And finally, now you have a lot of data. Now, raw data doesn't say anything. Raw data doesn't give any meaning, right? But instead, if you are reporting in the right way, it can give you sense. If you're doing some analysis, if you're doing some making a report out of that. So these are the 4 key areas for which GCP guidelines are guiding us. So this is the crux of GCP, that one is you have to plan your research from ethical perspective. We covered a lot in detail yesterday, like your Declaration of Helsinki, your Nuremberg Code, National Act, all that we covered yesterday. So the prime parameter is that you have to do a research only when there is a need. When there is a strong scientific need, 1, 2, it is going to benefit the folks for whom you are doing the research. 3rd, all the human participants, those are in the trial, they are respected. And another parameter is that you have to perform your research in a way that whatever data you are generating, it should be of a quality. And another is integrity, that it is a trustable. So these 2 things, ethics plus quality data, is your GCP. Nothing rocket science. If you're doing your research in a right way, taking readings correct way, not only that, you are doing publication honestly, not doing any falsification, manipulation, or anything like that, then it is considered quality data plus ethics is GCP. Now, why we wanted to study the responsibility? Yes, like I emphasized a lot yesterday on that, focus on the application part, right? That was the crux. That's so I showed you like how Helsinki principle you are applying. Theory is one part. How you are applying, same when we gone through all those 13 principles, we focused more on their application, like, right? Medical care of the subject. How will it apply when you're doing medical writing? How it will apply when you are analyzing the data, right? These type of questions. So why we are studying responsibilities? That can be questioned, like, why? Because when you're doing some research, especially clinical research, it's a teamwork, and different people are handling different responsibility. So it is a shared responsibility. One who is organizing a trial, your sponsor, and if they are delegating some work to a contract research organization, so then they will be responsible. Investigator the is main person who is handling all your research at the hospital or a research site. And ethics committee, not limited to this, you can say subject also, anyone who is participating, who is a part of a clinical trial, they have some responsibility on their shoulders. So always remember, GCP, a shared responsibility. It's not one man's job.
Hello, ma'am. I think your voice is breaking in between, ma'am.
Okay, let me check. Thank you for letting me know. Can you hear me properly now?
Yes, ma'am. It is, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, do let me know, in case you face any challenge. Now,
Yes, ma'am.
first,
Sure.
okay, thank you. Now, the first responsibility is we will be studying about sponsor. Anyone who wanted to guess who his sponsor is? See, here is the definition, but you give me the example who can be the sponsor.
Different companies, ma'am.
Pharma company.
Yeah, pharma companies like Pfizer and all.
Who else can be?
CRO,
No. CRO, they are contract.
the man who gives economical support and all that.
Yeah, that's the. See, when you see the companies, now just expand your vision. You have seen devices also in the market. So device companies also, pharma companies also, biotech companies also. So all those are sponsors. Not only that, institutes, organizations, institute like your ICMR, WHO, an organization, independent organization, DNDA. There are so many independent organizations,
And like DBT, DST.
Yes. And even an individual, suppose some doctor is running a clinic and he wanted to initiate his research by at his own, or you are a PhD student, right? Or at some academic institute. So anyone can be sponsored. But majority, when we are looking at a clinical research, this is taking majority of a part. You are biotech, device, and pharma companies. And who taking a and who is taking an end-to-end responsibility, end-to-end start to close. And the more important part, they are taking a ownership of finance. Suppose if your institute is taking a responsibility, ICMR do not have money, then they have to work on the grants. Like do they have a sufficient grants to carry out that research? Similarly, if WHO is doing, some other organization doing, maybe they also have to shake their hands with some government organization, some international organization can give us fund, like so. Now, what will be the responsibility of a sponsor? Now you understood like who can be the sponsor. The very first is quality assurance and quality control. So how you will be studied that GCP principle is quality data. How you will ensure if there is a quality assurance and quality control system. And is it a GCP principle or not? Yesterday we studied.
Yes, ma'am.
This is 12 number principle, right? Quality assurance and quality control. So whose responsibility is this? Your sponsor's responsibility. What will be the application in your clinical trial? Every function, every department, even not a department, every process that you are doing, there will be a QC process. Anything that you are doing in a clinical trial, there will be a QC process. And in operations, when you are speaking of operations, there is a dedicated monitoring. Monitoring is nothing, just a quality control process, that whatever you are doing, someone will come and verify the data. And suppose you are working in a medical writing, then there will be, you are writing a protocol, there will be a step for QC. You are working as a SAS programmer, there will be a step of a QC. You are working as a data management associate, there will be a step of QC. You are working a pharmacovigilance associate, there will be a step of a QC. So QC step will be implemented at every stage. Like, okay. And quality assurance is your audit. Mostly every function undergo, your audit. So remember it, whose responsibility it is? Sponsor responsibility. Now, as we know, the fact is that pharma companies, they do not do whole research by own. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they outsource their work. Whom they outsource? Contract research organization. Now, someone said that when I asked who can be the sponsor, someone said that CROs. CROs mostly they become collaborators. So when you see who is a sponsor of trial on ct.gov, you will see them as a collaborator. So now they have to transfer the responsibility of CRO, like what are their responsibility? They have to do everything in writing. Okay, who will take care of a medical writing? Are they giving to CRO or they are doing in-house? They will keep a record of everything. Who is taking care of a monitoring? CRO. Even sometimes they outsource the auditing process also, but they have to write everything. So writing is important. Now, another principle, yesterday we studied medical care of the subject, right? If you can recall our GCP principle, one of the principle was medical care of the subject and experts. So whose responsibility is to hire a right qualified medical person? Sponsor's responsibility. That is one part of the question. Another part is we need other experts also. Maybe pharmacologist is needed, PK scientist is needed, statistician is needed, medical writer is needed. Many more experts are needed. That means more consultants, more qualified team members. Whose responsibility is this? Sponsor's responsibility is this, because one of GCP principle is medical care of the subject, that he will sort out by this. Another related principle, anyone, if you can remind me, related to qualifications, staff, we studied yesterday only. You can write in chat box also. Because otherwise you will feel this is lot of theory, Any principle you remember? Training qualification of a staff, have you forget? The staff who is working in a clinical trial, they should be qualified by education, training and experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Try to make notes, So then hiring a right person, expert person, is the responsibility of a sponsor. Okay, now trial management. Again, GCP principle, proper clinical trial management system should be in place. Like yesterday we studied. So what is the trial management? How you are going to handle a data, because you are generating thousands of tables, and how that record will be handled, how ethics committee will be working, how the independent data monitoring committee will be working, right? So they have to hire a qualified person so that the data handling. Okay, suppose just imagine an example, subject came, a doctor take a vital, that's fine. Then it moved to another function, like maybe a lab, someone taken a blood, and then to next person, maybe dosing has been administered. Now the patient is moving, and along with that, they are taking a data, right? Not only that, after 5 or 10 days, patient said, oh, I have a headache, that will be reported as serious adverse event. So all the team will be handling data in a right way. And for that, they need proper processes. They need right persons. Additionally, most of the trial, they are having independent data monitoring committee. Always remember this one committee, IDMC. So when you will study any protocol, you will find either it will be having independent data monitoring committee or not. What is the role of this committee? You have seen your research at a COVID time. We have done phase 1, 2, 3 together. How they decided? So the role of independent data monitoring committee is that they will continuously keep on reviewing the data that is getting generated to understand that data is coming correctly. We are going in a right way. Why it is said to be independent? It is said to be independent because they are separate from study team. But having this arrangements of this, making arrangements of this team is the responsibility of sponsor. They will be advising you, the whole clinical research team, independently. If tomorrow they said that you are not going in a right direction, maybe serious adverse events are more, stop the trial, then you have to stop the trial. Once what happened, and now your question can be, IDMC is mandatory to have in every trial? That can be the question. No, answer is no. But any trial which is critical, right? There you always having IDMC, especially phase 1, 2, 3. Mostly are having IDMC. Phase 4 or phase 3B, you don't need it because we are already having sufficient information by then. Proper electronic management systems, mostly data we are handling in clinical trials is electronically. Why? Because this is advice we are getting from your regulatory bodies, because falsification is not easier in electronic system, and how you are handling data. And qualified investigator, hiring a right investigator, hiring a right hospital is the responsibility of a sponsor. And sharing investigator brochure. Investigator brochure is the one which is having all the necessary information on a new drug or a device. So that who share with the investigator? Sponsor share with the investigator. And selecting right hospital, right doctor is the responsibility of your sponsor. And another responsibility is to obtain investigator and institutional agreement. So making agreements is also responsibility of a sponsor, because they are the heads, they are leading it. And how they will be compensating to the investigator and the compensation. Taking this decision again a responsibility of a sponsor. What is the compensation they give to subject? Anyone wanted to address it? How they compensate patient in a clinical trials?
In terms of money, they give to the.
How much money, according to you, they give to subjects?
Per day, 800 rupees, like that.
Health insurance is there mostly. Not health insurance. You can say that trials are insured. That's one thing.
It's depend on the type of treatment or trials they are doing on the subject. Maybe.
Okay. Not quite there. They gave a compensation to the subject as according to daily wages. Suppose subject is coming to clinic today. On today, if subject came to a clinic, that means they are not able to go to their work, or they are not able to do their day-to-day work. So they will try to compensate for that only. Like mostly labor cost in Delhi is followed in India as an index. So like maybe it is 600 if it is per day, they will give them a 600. Not for every day. Suppose subject is for 2 years in a clinical trial. No. How many times study team requested them to visit a clinic? When they will be visiting? When they have to get a dosing. Suppose there are 4 study visits. So at every visit, they will get compensation. And how about if they are coming by their own will? Just I wanted to consult a doctor, then no compensation. That is one part of a compensation. Second, and it is decided at the beginning of the trial only. Another is, as per our government, if there is a death or if there is a serious adverse event, we have a formula. DCGI has already proposed a formula according to which the compensation is calculated, and that has lot many permutation combinations, like how it get calculated, and different for different events. That's the way the patient are compensation. Compensation is made to patient. And another way, if there's some adverse event happen, patient is hospitalized, mostly that cost of medical care is, handled by sponsor. That's how they are compensated. But otherwise, you can't propose like, okay, we will give you 10,000, come and participate in a clinical trial. Then your ethics committee, your regulatory body reject your trial. Okay.
Ma'am, can I ask you one thing, ma'am?
Yeah. Sure.
As
Sure.
ma'am, how they choose their subject for studies? I mean, how matlab, they will kids I will take this person as a subject. Matlab, what are the criterias? It depend on the studies or means
Yes, definitely. First part is depend on the studies. Suppose you are doing your trial some respiratory disease, correct? You will be doing a survey, like how many patients are coming with related to this disease in this hospital, right? That is one part of your survey. Then already, like, okay, 30 patients are coming every day this clinic of this particular indication or disease. And then doctor, they ask them that we are doing this research, would you like to participate, like that?
But ma'am, as you said, it can cause death also. So why should one person go for this? Man, what causes that willingly the person that patient causes? Okay, I'll go
Every
under
trial
this.
doesn't cause death,
But
death.
ma'am, the normal person is not aware of these kind of things, research or health.
So
Normal
that's
person has
why you are having informed consent process in a place. So what happened? Just take it as a one example by example. So suppose, let's take an example of a respiratory disease only. You are doing a trial. So then first question doctor is going to ask you that we are running this research and this is our medication. Would you like to participate? If they say yes, that's the first part. They say yes. Then you will be telling them there is a process of informed consent form. So during that process, that takes almost 2 hours or 3 hours, you tell them everything, that this is a research and what are anticipated side effects. So in that anticipated side effects, you are telling that these are the side effects. So if now part of your question, if the anticipated side effect is a death, you won't get even a permission to start your research. That's fair. So even single death related to your medication, stop or terminate your trial. That's very loud and clear.
But ma'am, initially you said that if the subject dies or the clinical trial person dies, then
no. You are confusing. So suppose there is trial is for 2 years. Naturally, also people die. Like in my study, when we were doing a research on infants, there are 5 infants, they died. But the cause of death was different. It was not because of the study vaccine. Because even naturally also, you progress in the life, death happens. This is not... Yeah,
ma'am, can I ask you what kind of clinical trial you were doing on the infants?
we have, when I've done, it was rotavirus vaccine. It is available publicly now out there. Okay.
Madam, after that, how you identify it is a natural death or it is related to clinical study death?
So how it happened is that it is a part of a safety program. So take it as like suppose death happened today. You treat it naturally. You just report it. Within 24 hours, you have to report it, like patient died or someone died. Then you fill a form. That is known as a SIOM form that you fill. Then picture comes of your medical monitor, medical experts, and based on clinical reports and everything, then only it is analyzed. It is not only one person, say investigator's decision. There will be multiple people involved, like medical monitor, investigator will give their opinion, sponsor will give their opinion, ethics committee, and top of that report will get submitted to your regulatory body. So then only based on the evidences, that is it, main question is, Is it related to your study drug or not? That is answered in that report.
Okay.
Okay, I think
Yes.
we are digressing from the topic. It is more of a safety, so safety related topic. If you are a PV student, you will learn a lot about this, how safety is handled, right? Okay, but clinical trials do not cause deaths. Natural deaths happen, and anything can happen. Hospitalization happen, disability happen, anything happen, but we have to report it. Crux is we have to report it. Okay, now the finance, who make the financial agreements is the institute or investigator with the investigator. And not only with the institute or investigator, with everyone, again, responsibility of a sponsor. Notification to regulatory body is a responsibility of a sponsor. And confirmatory thing from a review, that a review has been done by IRB or ethics committee. Although coordination work is done by investigator or institute, which is doing the research, suppose your AIMS, a hospital is doing the research, the ethics committee is of AIMS, very, very fair, right? Then investigator will be coordinating with them, but confirmation will be taking a sponsor that have you done this thing? That thing will be the responsibility of a sponsor. Investigational product, because this is new product, all the available information that is clinical, preclinical, whatever is available in the form of investigator brochure, it is the responsibility of a investigator. Not only that, how this product is being manufactured, packaged, labeled, coding, that will be responsibility of a sponsor. Now, link to your GCP principle. What we studied here, sufficient information or IP. That's the principle we studied yesterday, right? So, whose responsibility is this? Directly linked to sponsor. Now, here is the magic you can do in your responsibility. In your interview also. Like when someone simply asking you, oh, please tell me the 13 principle of GCP. Not only just telling them, okay, this is the principle of GCP. Just add additional information like, okay, this is the responsibility of your sponsor. This is how in a reality this is applied. When you will be giving that additional information on a practical and application part, your interview will be much better. Okay, how this product will be manufactured, labeled, coding, blinding and everything, GMP, following GMP, again responsibility of a sponsor. How it will be stored, how it will be reconstitution, that fluid and procedure. Sometimes powder comes in one vial, fluid is in another vial, how do you mix it, how to use it, all that instruction. Providing those instructions to investigator or study team is the responsibility of a sponsor. Now, this is your thing that someone was asking depth and everything. Safety information. So in clinical trial, we are always trying to answer for two questions, right? That is this drug safe? That is one. And second is this drug working? Is this drug working is that your desired outcome that we wanted. But along the way, there are certain undesirable things also happen. That is side effects. How that will be reported, how that will be handled is the responsibility of a sponsor. Anyone, how we handle safety in clinical trial? What are those 2 terms, 2 or 3 terms? This is adverse drug reaction, or simply as of now, keep bigger picture in mind. How adverse event, how adverse drug reaction are being reported. I give you one homework. I'm not going into detail. Try to find answer by yourself. What is the difference between adverse event and adverse drug reaction? Find it. All serious and unexpected ADRs, how they will be reported. and how ADR reports will be made, at what time, are we doing at the right time? That is the responsibility of sponsor. And the final, all this safety information will be submitted to regulatory authority. All people who those are working in PV, their jobs revolve around this only. My homework to you is that what is the difference between adverse drug reaction and event? Now, planning of audit, because again, one of GCP principles say quality assurance, quality control. Whose responsibility is this? Sponsor's responsibility. And these audits are so important, you won't believe that in clinical study report, when you prepare that final clinical study report, these audit reports are attached in that study report. Important is so high. And suppose tomorrow someone is challenging you also, maybe there is a lawsuit, then sponsor use this audit report, like there was a time to time that an audit, and here is an audit report. Suppose something went wrong, things are not going in the way that you want, maybe some serious adverse event, maybe your product is not showing an efficacy, then trial can be terminated prematurely, or it can be suspended for meanwhile. Sometimes trial suspension is, you put your trial on hold for 5 or 6 months, yeah, and then like you sparked this conversation, like if there is a death, like I tell you, there was a death in my trial, and that time sponsor suspended the trial for 2 months. They thought that unless we are not getting the final report of this death, why it happened, how it happened, till then the trial will be suspended. That is suspension. Who make this decision? Sponsor make decision. Investigator can also make, I'll tell you, but ultimately responsibility of a sponsor. Terminated, you stopped your research permanently. Suspension is that you're waiting for some report. After that report, you can terminate permanently also, or you can restart also your research. That is suspension, so sponsor take this decision. Termination can happen because of anything. Maybe your product is not working, maybe side effects are many more. Maybe sometimes trials get stopped because of they dried up their finances, or sometimes trial can get stopped, they are not getting the right patient. Anything happen, but that decision will come from a sponsor. So this is little recap. That this is what we studied on a high level in terms of responsibility of a sponsor. I'll give you a minute to have a look.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, we are focusing and emphasizing greatly on quality of the data. So how, in terms of quality control and assurance, for quality assurance, I get an idea that the audits that being carried out are meant for quality assurance. What about quality control? How they are controlling the quality of the data? Because as far as I am concerned, we are having a definite study design, whether it is randomized or parallel or anything, fade or fasted. We are having data, we are having investigators, qualified investigators, we are having statisticians who are designing the data, designing the study, and it is a data generation mechanism from where we are getting the data. Not like a drug from which in the drug development process, if we are comparing it with the drug development process, in the process, when we are finding any kind of discrepancy in the data, like disintegration of the tablet or its friability, then we are changing the formulation in order to make one effective dose. But what about the study design? Are they changing the study design to get the quality data, or they are just changing the data?
So first part, when we discussed our slide number 1, we spoke about quality control. So quality control is an integral part of every step. Just imagine when you are writing your protocol, there will be a QC step. Similarly, when you are doing your safety reporting, quality control will be, there is a step. And all together in your operation, if you ever been a part of a clinical trial, monitoring, it's totally dedicated to your QC. Now, coming back to your question is that when you're designing your trial, designing your trial, during trial, you can't change your study design. If you want to change something based on suppose there is an error, there is some finding, there's something, then you have to undergo another process which is known as an amendment. So you have to do an amendment to your protocol and have to give a rationale why we are changing, right? That is one part. Another part is when you plan your study, it already undergo multiple review rounds. Multiple review rounds is that, of course, internal QC is one. Another is ethics committee review round. Another is regulatory body review it critical. And they only give you permission to do a trial if it is your study design is scientifically sound. That is the principle we studied yesterday. And despite that, if they're based on your QC audit and everything, if you find that something is needed to be changed, maybe eligibility criteria you want to change, or maybe you say that maybe initially you thought of okay, we are doing a comparative trial with standard of care on an investigator drug, and now you wanted to change maybe a dosing or something. But for that, you have to undergo an amendment, right? That is the process. Without amendment, so amendment means then again you have to take a permission from everyone, approval, which is known as approval. And that's one part. Another is any trial where you are changing your design with the practicality is there known as adaptive clinical trials. Those are planned and handled very differently. But crux of my answer is that QC is executed at every stage. That is a part of your trial. And if you are changing anything in your trial, it will undergo an amendment. That is also we categorize substantial or non-substantial. Without that amendment and followed by approval, you can't change anything in your trial.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now we are coming to part 2, which is investigator responsibility. Investigator, now just imagine sponsor is responsible for everything. Anything, all the functions are under him. Now, investigator, where he works at a site, at a hospital. So anything which is related to that hospital and site, and especially patient, that is the responsibility of your investigator. This is the role. Investigator is a role which is patient-facing role, right? If you are anytime working in a contract research organization, that will mean not patient-facing, right? You are sitting in the office, you are sporting role. But if you ever happen to work in a hospital or a site, that means you are working. Just a minute. Okay, so in a hospital, that means that it is your patient-facing role. So investigator will be the responsible because he is leading everything at a hospital. There will be a team under him also, nurses, pharmacist, clinical research coordinator, and everything. And they will be interacting with the patient, and medical care is falling under them directly. So let's try to understand who is an investigator. I think we already covered yesterday a lot who is the investigator, right? So let me see. Sometimes, you will see that there will be research is larger, that number of patients are many more. So you will be needing some investigator also. Sub-investigator will be supervised by the principal investigator. So an additional investigator. So he will be working under investigator. Now, investigator should be qualified by education, training, and experience. Again, related to GCP principle. Whose responsibility to ensure this? Sponsor responsibility. And they should be aware of GCP. So if some doctor, if some scientist wanted to work in clinical research as an investigator, they also have to undergo GCP training. They have, or not only they have to undergo GCP training, they also have to renew their certification every 2 years. And they should be having sufficient information about medicinal product. And they should allow monitoring and auditing. Again, your QC and QA. A doctor can't or investigator can't say that, no, I don't allow anyone to verify my record. They can't say this. They should allow them. And not only that, there will be a time come that regulatory can also inspect that side. So they should allow regulatory authority as well. And the responsibility of their team to hire right people in their site, in their hospital, in their trial is their responsibility. So his team should be qualified. And he is the one who has to ensure that they have taken approval from ethics committee. And they are, see, this is the related to your side effect and everything. If any new information is coming related to safety and side effect, he is the one who should inform ethics committee on a right time. And he also share progress reports with the sponsor and ethics committee. And continuously informing research participants about the trial is his responsibility. There might be new information. Suppose the research that they are doing, some other pharma has launched the drug. That is new information. And like one person asked that if there is some error, because of that they are changing a design. That means there is an amendment. And they also need to inform the same thing to our research participants. And all the time they have to ensure that they have a sufficient staff at their hospital. If someone is resigning, they need to hire a new. And if they are hiring new, they have to train them. So anything which is happening in the research site is a responsibility of investigator. Now I have divided that investigator responsibility before, during, and after. So if you try to divide. So before, we said the planning of the clinical trial. At that time, they mostly sign the documents. They share their CV. They sign this, document 1517 to. They sign the protocol. If there is amendment, they sign that. They patient information sheet, and in consent form they sign financial agreement, right? They EC approval letters, member of EC and their qualification, they the one, investigator is the one, they need to share everything with the sponsor. If you are using a lab of your own, then what are the normal ranges? Not only that, their accreditation, validation certificate, they need to share. And financial disclosure information that I don't have any interest in the success or failure of this trial. I am just working as an investigator. All that before you are basically signing, doing the documentation of his job is before the trial is the responsibility of a sponsor. These all are the things they are the do. Now during study is that now actually you have started a trial. Will be the major responsibility. Any idea? Especially medical care. Everything will revolve around medical care, administration of the drug, and documenting things in a right way. That is responsibility during the trial. Source document, they have to collect patient record, any lab report, any X-ray, ECG report, any other medical record, patient identification list. Because, and this is, I'm not sure if we discussed this earlier. This is the only document which will be available at investigator site. If you are going for an interview for CRC or CRA, people can ask you question, what document will be available at site but not in a CRO and a sponsor? That is patient identification list. So every patient in clinical trial, they're all assigned by numbers. Their names are not used. So where this identification list is kept? At an investigator site. What else? During a trial, they should collect sufficient information on patient eligibility, who made the decision, when signed, document is signed and dated, dates of visits, when particular patient visited, even they will keep a record of their compensation, that who received money, what procedure they have performed, like they may be taken a blood sample, stool sample, saliva sample, all that will be kept in a record. Observations, maybe even just simple as a vital sign checkup, that they will also keep a record. What medication being given, so any side effect they report it. Adverse event, so you have to in our next session you have to tell me the difference between adverse event and reaction. Completion or withdrawal from study, if some subject said that, oh, now don't want to continue, enough, right? That their decision, responsibility of investigator to record. After study, he need to inform, about drug accountability, because this is research medication. You can't use without permission. So if you have received 100 vials, where 80 went, if you have used only 20, if some vial is broken, you have to show the record of that also. And you have to return unused supplies, and you have to update your financial disclosure. Mostly, archival is also one of the key responsibility of investigator once the trial is over, because as per GCP, you have to keep a record for 2 years after the marketing authorization, not the trial completion. Never ever get confused again, guys. After marketing authorization, suppose you are in phase 1 and you know that you can sell your product after phase 3 only. So once you started selling your product, after that 2 years will be considered. So that is as per ICH-GCP. In India, I think this is 5 years. As per DCJ, you have to keep a record for 5 years. And even after that, if they wanted to destroy that record, they have to take permission from sponsor. Without permission, they can't, destroy the record. Additionally, for a study medication, sometimes student, you need additional information. For that, proper storage facility, having deep freezers, refrigerators, proper temperature monitoring system should be in a place. That all responsibilities of investigator. Dispensing the drug in the right way is a responsibility of investigator. Maintaining a record of that particular drug is responsibility of investigator. So that's all. Now we are coming to the last section, which is monitoring responsibility. So in clinical trial, when you are doing operations, your research happening at site, the third person will come and check all the documents to ensure you are doing the right thing. So that is known as a monitoring. You can also be monitored. CRA, also known as these days we are also telling them centralized monitor. You are not visiting site. You simply sitting in a CRO and reviewing the record, So what GCP is saying, that act of overseeing the progress of clinical trial and ensuring that trial is conducted. So again, our 4 words: conducted, recorded, reported in accordance with your protocol, SOPs, and GCP and applicable regulatory requirement. That is the definition of monitoring. And this is another way, this is what process it is. Your QC. Verifying your record, verifying your processes is monitoring. So someone asked that, are we doing QC? So have performance of this monitoring is a mandatory step in a clinical trial. If you have not performed, you have not followed GCP. If you have not followed GCP, your data is not trustworthy. Who hire this person, monitor or clinical research associate? Sometime, hired by sponsor. But if it is outsourced to contract research organization, mostly these days CROs only hiring CRAs, like your IQVIA, PPD, Praxil, try to make a list of all the CROs. So they basically hire CROs. It's a team. The CRA monitors, coordinator, and enable clinical trial. So they are the one who go to site, hospital, and verify all the data. So what is their role? They detect problem because they are verifying that record. Second is they provide solutions. 2. Third is they try to prevent their occurrences. So this is the role of CRA. So they identify issues, they provide solution also. They also ensure that they do not occur again. For that, maybe there is retraining is needed. Maybe they can tell investigator, you need to replace a person. Maybe you need to hire another person, right? And CRA by themselves, they should be properly trained. So what is the purpose of monitoring? What is the purpose of QC? That right safety and well-being of the subject is protected. That is one thing, which is ethics, right? Right safety and well-being of the subject is protected is your ethics. Another is the data that you are collecting, it should be accurate, complete, and verifiable. Just one example I am sharing how they do this. Suppose there is consenting of one subject. You have taken that person in your trial, right? And they will come, they will verify that have you performed that informed consent process in a right way, right? They will check everything. Okay, have the source document collected? Have they verified that if that person is eligible? Is the drug being given only after signing an informed consent form? So they will check it from every aspect. It's not only just data verification. They will also try to connect with the protocol, right? And they will also ensure that you are following applicable regulatory requirements. Now, one example, if there is a serious adverse event, as per regulatory requirement, you have to report within 24 hours. That is regulatory requirement. So they will check when it was reported, when it was investigator is informed, and when they have reported to regulatory body. So is it 24-hour only? If not, that means they have not followed, they are non-compliant. So everything they will check. So their monitoring visits, they are done in number of time before the study is started. Then it is known as study initiation. During, then it's interim visit, and even after the study is closed, then also they perform the visits. So before study, mostly it is one visit. At the time of study completion, only one visit. During your trial, it can be multiple visits, many visits. So because when we were doing trial, the number of participants were very high. So monitors used to come every week, not only one, four monitors used to come, and they used to verify every data. What is monitor's responsibility? The very first thing, he is the main line of communication between investigator and sponsor. So he's going to connect these two guys, verifying all the data, right? Verify investigational product. The site has sufficient IP, right? After each visit, monitor is write a report, right? And this report will be having date, site name, name of the monitor. There will be a summary of what they reviewed, how they done the visit. If you will be having my book, you will be able to see the dummy report in that. Significant findings, deviations, deficiencies, everything will be concluded in monitoring report. Now there is decentralized monitoring also. You need not to visit every site in a person. You are sitting in an office. There is a risk-based monitoring also. I think my book will be having these more details, but that is a topic altogether, separate topic. Risk-based monitoring, centralized monitoring. Why I'm giving you these words? Go and search and study about these. There are jobs for centralized monitors. There are jobs for risk-based monitors. So clinical research is expanding and evolving. So, okay, now we come to question answer sessions, and I have few questions for you. This is small quiz we are going to play, but before that, I can take questions. Okay, maybe after a quiz we can take. So expand these one by one. You can write in chat also, but I will love if you will unmute yourself and speak. What is ICGCP? Expand.
International Conference on Harmonization Good Clinical Practice, United States Food and Drug Administration.
No, one by one. First,
International Conference on Harmonization.
conference, no, council. Earlier,
Council.
yeah, before
Actually, it was previously conference. Now they have changed it to council.
council. Remember it, right?
Yeah.
So good clinical practices. And E6 is the guideline. So this is, I think, US FDA. I think everyone should be having the answer, right? What it will be, some different person should answer. No Googling, please.
United States Food and Drug Administration.
Yes. And what is AE and SAE?
Adverse event and
events and
adverse
serious
event.
adverse events.
Adverse drug.
Okay, adverse event.
D is
Or
miss.
say adverse drug event, right?
Severe adverse.
All right, go ahead. And you have to find the difference between adverse event and adverse drug reaction. That is your homework. What is CDSCO?
Central Drug Standard Control Organization.
Okay, what did DCGI?
Drug
Drug
Controller
Control and General of India.
Yes, and for your clinical trial, you take a permission from DCGI.
DCP.
Yes, so study about them a little bit. Now we will have a small true and false. It is very easy. Whatever we discussed, whatever we studied today, it is from that only, right? So someone can read. Financial agreement is always signed by CRC, clinical research coordinator, principal investigator, and the hospital. It's little tricky. Just give it a thought.
False.
Yes, it is false. It is signed by this guy and sponsor. Yes. So remember that.
Sponsor.
Yes. Very nice. Someone had a chat also. Instead answering in a chat, unmute yourself then. Okay. So, IP, its accountability is the main responsibility of investigator conducting a trial.
Yes. True.
Yes, true.
Short? Yes. Okay, let's move to third. Feasibility is done The one, like I think some girl also raised this concern, like how you will ensure that right patients are enrolled. Feasibility is done only by PI who is willing to do the trial, maybe may not have a facilities in the hospital where he is
True.
willing to do the trial.
False.
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 False, yes, because
Response.
they should be having the proper facilities to do the research, right? We studied, covered
Yes,
yesterday
ma'am.
also, today also.
During.
So monitoring, so monitor come from sponsor side and they come at your hospital where your PI and your CRC and other team members are working. So now
True.
here is the question, is it true or false? During
True.
monitoring,
True.
only CRC answer all questions. Only CRC answer.
No, ma'am. During the monitoring. it is true.
Only CRC answer all questions raised by monitor and he will know everything about trial. So
False, ma'am. PI
yeah,
also
little
no.
tricky, it's false. So
Yes.
during monitoring, everyone, principal investigator, nurse, pharmacist, anyone who is working in that study, they have to answer, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
if question was reframed, all CRC also along with other team members, then it should be true. But now it's false. Now this question. Whose responsibility to get approval from regulatory body? I have written,
Sponsor.
you know,
False.
oh, sponsor is responsible to
Ma'am,
take
it's true
approval.
already I said.
Yeah.
True.
You
Ma'am,
got
only sponsor, ma'am.
sponsor only. Yes, sponsor has to take approval from regulatory body. You are investigator who is initiating the trial, sponsor. So it is the
Yes, ma'am.
responsibility of sponsor. But if it is coordination with EC, then investigator. But taking a approval from regulatory body solely responsibility of a sponsor. Remember that principle in your mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's the end, you know. Okay.
Ma'am, will these classes will get uploaded in the group also?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
I think sure, but I can check with Ajit also that. But as per my understanding, the recording will also be shared with you guys, and they will be uploaded on whatever it being communicated to you.
Ma'am, how many classes do we have in a week, ma'am?
For your course, I
Yeah.
think 2 classes. I guess Ajit has to share a proper schedule with you. This is more of an ICH GCP training, but otherwise, I believe you are going to have 2 classes in every week.
Ma'am, what about our classes like which was supposed to held every weekend? Like
I think they will. They are going to start next week. I don't have 100% answer, but I will pass it to Ajit that you are waiting for your classes to kick start.
okay, ma'am.
And ma'am, until now, how many classes have been finished, ma'am?
I guess 1 or maximum 2. That is also around a overview of clinical research.
Okay, ma'am.
But guys, please go through that PDF document, So try to build your knowledge on ICGCP. This is going to help you in the long run. Definitely.
Ma'am, you are talking about this online PDP. ICH GCP February.
Yeah, this current, but that 2 classes only has happened till now. Yesterday
ma'am.
and today only. I think 3 more to go. I believe 3 or 2.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think.
Yes,
Thursday.
yes, 3 more to go. Yes. And there is one session on your new drug rules also. Please, listen that carefully. And I think Dr. Wali will also be covering preclinical. I have never, honestly, I never worked in preclinical, so I don't have much idea on that, but try to learn from him what everything is done in preclinical. So,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah.
Ma'am, which document are you talking about that you have shared?
Yesterday I shared one PDF that is
Yeah.
having everything around E6 guideline around, about this course. So that was shared yesterday.
Ma'am, I
Ma'am,
think
can you
you
please
have
share
not
it
received
again? We missed it.
Okay, let me find a link. I can't attach it, but I can share a link, and then from that link you can download. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, just give me a moment. Now we have to cover that your informed consent form and EC, so ethics committee. So that we will cover in next session. All right, here it is. Here is the link. You can download it.
Hello.
Yeah, Vijay, tell me. Do you
Ma'am,
have
I
any-
have one doubt, madam.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Madam, clinical writing and medical communication writing both are same, madam?
So medical communication is little different. So in clinical research, whatever document you are writing, they are known as either medical writing or regulatory writing. So what are the documents that you covered in medical writing and regulatory writing? These are your protocol, informed consent form, investigator brochure, safety narrative, clinical study report, informed consent form. All that comes under your medical writing and regulatory writing, because you are submitting it to regulatory body. Makes sense. Medical communication is little more into like what you are communicating to the external world, that maybe you are preparing some material for doctors, maybe you are working on some training module, maybe you are working on some information which is you wanted to share with the patient. So medical communication is a little different. Very few organizations they are working in it, like you are Indigene, they are quite active in medical communication. But when you're speaking about pharma company, contract research organization, they're quite lot focused on regulatory writing.
Okay, madam. Another one question. The participants of clinical trial, like I had one doubt if you not mention, madam.
Sure.
Like both educated peoples also participated in trial, madam, or they will cover they will cover only uneducated peoples,
No,
like
everyone.
lay people.
No. Everyone participate. It's not if you are covering only a poor section of the society in a way. Let's reframe this question. They don't target one section of the society like a poor or financially disadvantaged. No, everyone. I also once participated in a clinical trial. Many people from all the section of the society, they participate in a clinical trial. You can also participate in a clinical trial if you want, as a volunteer also.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Ma'am, what will be the topic in the next class? We'll cover.
It's in for me. I think there will be one class on new drug rules 2019. I guess that will be.
NDCT is
Sorry.
new drug clinical trial 2019, ma'am.
Yeah, you must be having schedule. I have to look into it. Let me check it for you guys.
Ma'am, we don't have the schedule.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll tell you. Let me. Okay, next is on 9th February, Friday. It is your informed consent form and protocol. After that, on 10th, it is new drug rules 2019. And on 11, it is preclinical studies and PKPD. So,
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome. Okay, if there is no further question, we are happy to close the session. That's all.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Bye,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Thank
Thanks,
you, ma'am.
everyone. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Ma'am, your second book is not available on Amazon.
It's available. I shared link yesterday.
Actually, I
can
found
share.
only one.
I can share again. Stay there. I have
Please.
to. This is the one. I am not sure which one you are referring. So I can share the second also link. All right. I shared both the links. So you can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Bye bye.